Postseason Live, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois.
Here comes the 0-2. High drive into right, back at the wall. It is gone. Grand slam, Montero. Game 1 hero.
My goodness, is everyone okay after that insane 8th inning? But we like how it went, don't we? What a NLCS Game 1 as the Cubs take it from the Dodgers in 8-4 final, thanks in part to that guy, Miguel Montero, the pinch hit, game-winning grand slam. Dexter Fowler follows it up with a home run. As we see the magic number now change from 8 to 7 wins away, as we are now in the NLCS. This is the camera outside of Clark and Addison. You get 2 different angles as the streets fill up with Cubs fans. And we get to see the marquee saying Cubs win. And this is a change, isn't it? A win in the NLCS as we welcome you in to Cubs Postseason Live, presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Layla Rahimi welcoming you here in the CSN downtown Chicago studios. A lot of happy Cubs fans enjoying their Saturday night after seeing an NLCS Game 1 win, thanks in part to Miguel Montero and that wild 5-run 8th inning that saw the Cubs not only take the lead, but take it in commanding fashion. Now, in case you forgot what else happened in this game, let's rewind a tad. This one was pretty long. Joe Maddon always tells Dexter Fowler, you go, we go, and Dex gets things going in the bottom of the first. Leads off with a single to right center, just Fowler's 3rd hit of the playoffs. Chris Bryant up next. He hits a rocket into left field. Howie Kendrick at the wall. He can't come up with it. Fowler goes all the way around to score the first run of the game. 1-0 Cubs on Bryant's RBI double. We head to the top of the second with 2 on and 2 out. Kenta Maeda singles to left. The Dodgers send Adrian Gonzalez, but the slowest base runner on the team is out at the plate. David Ross applies the tag, and the inning is over. Bottom of the second, Jason Hayward rips a 2-2 pitch to right field. That gets all the way into the corner. Hayward rounds second and slides into third base. It is a lead-off triple. So Javier Baez is up next, and Baez, facing Maeda, swings at a slider off the end of the bat that drops into center field, bringing Hayward around to score. Baez hustles into second with a double, and it is 2-0 Cubs. Yes, you get style points, Javi. Nicely done. And with John Lester at the plate, Maeda throws a wild pitch, so Baez moves up to third, and Javi didn't stay there very long.
Coming to the plate. He is safe. 3-0. It's a steal of home for Javier Baez, who's doing everything right.
Check out the wheels on Baez. He is already more than halfway to home plate. 39 feet to be exact. By the time Justin Turner fields the ball, no chance for the Dodgers to throw him out at home. Baez, the first Cub to steal home in a playoff game since Jimmy Slangle in 1907, when the Cubs won their first World Series. Top of the third, Justin Turner at the plate as we got to see a little celebration. Hits a fly ball to shallow center field. Dexter Fowler on his horse makes a nice diving catch to take away a hit as Fowler flashes the lever. But Dexter was getting warmed up.
That's into left center. That's Fowler. That's caught. Flashing leather all October are the Cubs so far.
I mean, he hadn't even started working in the outfield yet. Fowler makes an even better catch in the previous inning, and Lester thinks the center fielder. Top of the fifth, the Dodgers break through with 2 outs. Pinch hitter Andre Ethier gets a hold of a fastball deep to left for a solo home run. The Dodgers cut the deficit to 2 at 3-1. We move to the sixth, and with 2 outs, Yasiel Puig hits a ground ball to first. A diving stop by Anthony Rizzo. He flips to Lester for the out. Lester goes 6 innings, allowing just 1 run on 4 hits. So in the top of the 8th, Aroldis Chapman has to come into the game with the bases loaded and nobody out. But after fanning the first 2 batters he faced, Adrian Gonzalez gets his revenge, singles up the middle into center. That scores Andrew Toles and Chase Utley. And the game is tied at 3 runs apiece. And that's when things get crazy, as Dave Roberts is loving it. In the bottom of the 8th, a runner on second and 1 out for Jason Hayward. Dave Roberts decides to walk Hayward, who had a triple earlier in the game, to get to Javier Baez.
Popped up right side. Well,
so we see what happens, and Baez pops out. Then Roberts decides to walk Chris Coughlin with the pitcher's spot up next. So in the chess match, Roberts forces Joe Maddon's hand. Miguel Montero at the plate.
Here comes the 0-2. High drive into right, back at the wall, and he's gone! Grand slam, Montero! Game 1 hero!
That's right, Miguel Montero takes a curtain call after a 2-out pinch hit grand slam. 7-3 Cubs. Then it's Dexter Fowler's turn, adding on. A solo shot to right field as the Cubs go back-to-back off of Joe Blanton. And after a 5-run 8th inning, they beat the Dodgers 8-4. Our Kelly Kroll caught up with Chris Bryant moments ago.
Well, Chris, how do you put into words that 8th inning, the drama and the strategy and everything that went on?
It's hard to. I mean, obviously, I didn't really do my part, but that's just the thing with this team. I mean, we find a way to pick each other up. There's going to be mistakes made in these games. We know that, but it's how we react to it. And I'm so happy for Mickey. I mean, for him to come off the bench like that is huge. And
you think about the role he's taken with this team, kind of a backseat and really being a mentor. But he'll forever be a hero in this town after a grand slam like that.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly enjoy having him here. I mean, he's always super positive. He knows he wants to play, but he hasn't been playing that much here in the postseason. And for him to come off the bench like that, total team player, I mean, I can't say enough about him. He's just an unbelievable bat, too. I think he was down 0-2 in an awesome swing.
Describe the defense in this game and how it changed really the complexion of what could have been.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Dexter in center field did unbelievable. Maddie at short, always solid. I mean, you know, for Dex to take away probably doubles or triples for like that, I mean, certainly shifts the momentum to us. So Dex came up huge today, and obviously, home run in the 8th there to seal it. I mean, that was, I think he did an unbelievable job today.
And last but not least, Chris, are you okay with the play at third base? Kind of walk us through what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have came and got it. I mean, one of those weird in-between hops. Trying to do too much, but you'll learn from it and move on, and Mickey picked me up.
But fans want to know you're okay, so you're okay?
I'm great, I'm great.
Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go, guys. Chris Bryant.
He's okay. He's okay. All kind of a moot point after that, huh? Miguel Montero's grand slam, by the way, the first postseason grand slam by a Cub at Wrigley Field. The last time a Cub hit a grand slam in the postseason, you have to go back to 2003, and Aramis Ramirez. Ben Zobrist was on base 2 times in this game. He scored a run, had a double in the 8th inning, and as we get more from Wrigley Field, our Kelly Kroll back at Wrigley with the hero of the night.
Well, Mickey, the hero of the evening, why don't you tell us what's going through your mind as you're watching that 8th inning unfold, and then you step up to the plate there, down 0-2 in the count.
Well, obviously, when I was step on the box, I mean, I knew it kind of started me off a little soft, and he threw me a little cutter open in, and I kind of hit my bat, and after that, he threw me a slider that I missed, and I was like, oh my God, that was a perfect pitch to hit, because it was a good pitch to hit. And all I'm thinking is, like, I wanted it back, like I want that pitch back. But at this point, I'm just looking something out over the plate, try to hit the ball the other way, try to make something happen. I just don't want to strike out in that situation. Even if I hit a ground ball, you never know, something can happen. And he threw me again the slider. He gave me the slider back, and I took a full advantage of it.
Were you able to slow down the moment as you rounded the bases and took in the reaction of this crowd and your teammates in the dugout? What was that like?
I want to feel every single clap in the stands. That's what I just wanted it. I was like, obviously something that you dream of coming up as a little kid, and today kind of became a reality. I mean, one of those dreams. I still got more dreams.
What's the next dream? Because I know where this is going, and really...
I can't really say it to make it true.
1-0 in this series, though. How does that change the complexion, especially knowing you've got Kershaw now tomorrow going for the Dodgers?
Yeah, well, tomorrow we just got to turn the page. We got to come back tomorrow and play our game and do our things.
Awesome. Well, soak up every clap in this entire field here as you leave. Thanks, Mickey. Guys, the reaction from this crowd as he leaves the field is pretty impressive still.
Yeah, Kelly's right. You could hear the cheers as Miguel Montero left the field and go to the locker room, the Cubs clubhouse at Wrigley. As the Cubs beat the Dodgers 8-4, it is all because of that grand slam Montero hit as a pinch hitter off of Joe Blanton. As we see the crowd outside of Clark and Addison empty into the streets celebrating an NLCS win. As for Ben Zobrist, I mentioned him earlier, on base twice in this game with a run scored and a double as well. Let's hear from him with Kelly Kroll.
Well, what an eighth inning, Ben. What can you say about the at-bat that Miguel Montero had and really everybody leading up to that point?
Well, it's just like last series. We might have lost the lead the inning before that, but, or the top of that inning. But, we feel confident in our guys. And, when you got pinch hitters like that coming up, they're just professional hitters. Even though Miggy got down in the count, he obviously put a great swing on that ball, and he was ready to go. So, that's huge. To keep his composure in that situation. He's such a veteran. The way he's handled everything this year, for him to come through in the biggest spot of the year right there is huge. It's awesome.
Can you take a moment while you're in the game like that and try to understand the strategy and the cat and mouse game that's going on between, of course, Dave Roberts and of course, Maddon so well? Does it even register what's happening, or can you slow it down to that point?
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little surprised that they walked, both of our lefties there just to get to pinch hitter and Miggy, and then they didn't bring the lefty in, But yeah, I mean, Bland's been so good for them all year. He depended on his guy that's been dependable. So, fortunately for us, we were able to get to him tonight. But he's a very good pitcher. He's tough.
And lastly, I wouldn't be doing your night justice without bringing up the defensive play there in left field. Can you, in that moment, tell us what you were thinking? And the throw home was perfect.
Yeah, well, I'm playing in a little bit with the pitcher batting right there, and then as soon as he hits it, I'm charging hard, preparing if it does squeak through, and it just happened to squeak between KB and Addy there, and I knew who was running, and when he sent him, I kind of felt like I just need to put it anywhere close because I felt like I had a good shot at getting it there, and fortunately it was right on the money.
Well, Ben, congratulations again. Enjoy this one. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Thank you.
Kelly, Ben, thanks. We want you to get interactive with us. We were going to have a live fan vote later in the show. That means get your mobile, laptop, tablet, slide rule, whatever you need ready, as long as you can talk to us. Head to csnchicago.com/vote to cast your ballot. Visit csnchicago.com/vote. You do not need a special app. Just visit the website. Now, here is our other vote we've got going on. This is our live vote. Besides Miguel Montero's grand slam, what is your favorite moment from tonight? So we've got Ben Zobrist, then we've got the Baez bloop RBI double, Baez stealing home, or the Dexter Fowler diving catch. Now that is besides Miguel Montero's grand slam, which we all know is pretty impressive. Javier Baez certainly leading that vote right now. We will keep count. And now we go out to Wrigley Field. That is where we have David Kaplan and Todd Hollinsworth. And guys, you forgot something at the studio, but fortunately I found them. Your fists are here, so I guess I'm just doing this by myself tonight. Did we drop the ball, or am I holding them on for you?
Well, here's a fist bump right back at you, Layla. Thank you for taking care of that. And an unbelievable ball game, Holly. We were watching the game. You and I were going through all the strategy as it unfolded. Wow. But I don't think anybody saw Miguel Montero on a two-strike pitch nearly taking it to Waveland with the bases loaded.
No, other than, just realizing that the matchups that led us to that moment from both Joe Maddon and Dave Roberts literally led to that moment in time. That was the matchup that Dave Roberts actually wanted to get to right there. He's got his guy Blanton out there who's had a very good year this year. Now you think maybe it's not ideal, but you still have Contreras sitting on the Cubs bench who's waiting to come in there if they bring a lefty into the game. So he decides to go after Montero. Blanton throws him one too many sliders, and, well, we've got history.
Yeah, he spun the first one up, Then the second one came in, and Miggy missed it.
Oh, he should have crushed that one.
You turned to me and go, wow, how'd you miss that one?
Right.
And then he threw a third one in the same spot, and he did.
Well, it becomes somewhat predictable because Joe Blanton out there was probably thinking very much the same thing in that situation. I got away with one on the 0-1 pitch. I threw one down the middle. He didn't hit it. If I throw my best slider here, I put him away. He threw another bad one, hung it out over the plate. Miggy Montero didn't miss the third one.
All right, there were so many things that went on, twists and turns in this ball game. Cubs offense went cold in the middle portion of the ball game, and for me, that's concerning going forward because you got a couple of runs early. You actually got 3, but between the Baez bloop double and the Baez double down the line, Cubs were non-existent offensively for a good chunk.
Sometimes that happens in the postseason. I don't think it's necessarily indicative of what we're going to see happen. I mean, look at again the 8th inning. I mean, the 8th inning for the Cubs was an outstanding rally. I mean, part of that was a couple intentional walks, but they capitalized. Montero goes deep, Fowler goes deep. There's some momentum there. A lot of times what happens, Cap, when you get into a baseball game and they start to make moves. Remember, Miami comes out of this game after 4 innings, so you're in their bullpen. Now, Cubs hitters haven't seen a whole lot of Baez this year. He's got a great arm. He was particularly slow tonight, but I just thought it kind of messed with the rhythm and the timing of the hitters, and then you start getting into the matchups. And listen, if we're talking about this later in the series, and if this thing goes a little bit farther than maybe we expect it to, you and I, maybe there's a conversation there, but I just think it's very difficult to, look at this game and say, okay, well, the bats fell asleep there in those middle innings, especially when, you have a Dodger team that the Cubs aren't particularly familiar with. They did play them twice this year, but it's not like they're from this division and you saw them 20 times. So there is a bit of a feeling out period that goes on in games like this where you refamiliarize yourself with the Dodger bullpen and, vice versa.
Let's go back to, I thought, one of the huge decisions that Joe Maddon had to make. You had 2 outs, and you decide to hit for John Lester with Jorge Soler. And both of us up in the box we were sitting in said, don't like this move. We would have let Lester go another inning. He'd gone through 6. The Dodgers have not done much with him this season when they faced him. I personally would not have made that move, and then Soler grounds out, and it kind of left you a little betwixt and between as they went to the pen.
Well, it turned into a vulnerability because in the 7th inning it took you 3 relievers to get through that 7th inning when you could have said to yourself, well, maybe John Lester one more time was the answer. Right. The problem that you have right there is that you have an argument in both directions. I think anybody who watched the game tonight realizes John Lester pitched a good game, statistically speaking. You look at the final line.
There were some hard-hit balls.
There were some very hard-hit balls in this game, and I think that's exactly what Joe Maddon was managing in that moment right there, particularly because of where John Lester was. Now, with that being said, it's still John Lester, and I guess that's where I go with it, because for me, he's done it all season long. Yes, maybe there was a few more hard-hit balls than we expected going up against this Dodger team, but the bottom line is this: he was getting results. Whether they were atom balls, meaning, line drives, as we call them in the game, at infielders, he was still getting those outs. And for me, John was in a good spot, and clearly you saw the frustration as he comes back from the on-deck circle to be pinch hit for from Soler. He truly believed, in my personal opinion, that he had at least another inning in him. I did as well. I thought that was just making yourself a little vulnerable moving forward in a game that was still only a 2-run game, because you had to navigate the 7th. You knew you were trying to get the ball to Chapman, but this had an incredible feel of Game 3 of the DS, did it not? Here comes the roll to Chapman. We're the ones in the driver's seat, but all of a sudden we feel like we're not in the driver's seat anymore with the lead, and ultimately this thing ends up tied because the roll to Chapman's in the game, and there's a pitch, and it happens, and it's out over the plate, and one of their clutch hitters, historically clutch hitters, Adrian Gonzalez, comes through. So, this is partly playoff baseball, Cap, but at the same time, I am with you. We said it at the exact same time. I would have left them in the ball game.
All right, so there were some other moves that were made tonight where Dave Roberts walks the bases full because he wants to get Chapman out of the ball game.
Right.
The Cubs are fortunate. They have a second closer down there in Hector Rondon, and although he wasn't exceptionally sharp tonight, he was good enough to end the ball game and the Cubs win. Did you agree with that move to load the bases? Look, Joe Blanton's had a good year, but Joe Blanton was also on the street when he was released a year ago. I looked at it, and I understood analytically the move. I wasn't sure I agreed with the move.
Right. The move, it goes back to the Hayward walk originally. That's your first intentional walk to put 2 guys on, but you're trying to get 2 for 1, which is essentially 1 ground ball gets you 2 outs, and that's what Dave Roberts, he knows where this game is going and how tense it is, and that both bullpens are being used heavily in this point of the game. Javi Baez is bat. Maybe that's where you hope that Javi puts a little bit better at bat together. I believe it was first or second pitch that he ends up hitting a weak fly ball to right, kind of expanding his zone, and you didn't get more out of that opportunity right there. So I mean, it is a little give and take. I certainly understand the situation. Everybody here in Wrigley Field, all 50,000 people that were tuned in and standing and watching and engaged, knew that Javi has been clutch so many times this year. So to your point, which I completely agree with, I mean, you felt like you were feeding us, an ace under the card, right? I mean, here it comes, because Javi has been so good and so clutch, but unfortunately tonight didn't come through at that moment.
Right, he had a couple of doubles, the real hustle double early, the steal of home, first time the Cubs have had a steal of home in the postseason since Game 4 of the 1907 World Series.
He's toying with people right now. I'm telling you, he is playing the game that we played when we were 12 years old in the backyard with our friends, and we used to juke and jive, and they used to fall for the head fakes, right? I mean, it's like he's an NBA point guard out here. He does things you don't realize, people. I hope you really do. I'm not just saying this as a former player. What he does is incredibly special, but he's on another level. You look at the instincts. It was almost like he baited Ruiz on the throw down from third base. He's like, I'm going to give you a little head fake here, get you to throw, and then I'm off for home. He slides in safe, easily, not even a throw, because the throw's offline, and it's almost like he played Ruiz in that situation. We've watched him do it too many times to, maybe give him credit for being lucky. That's not the case. It's the level he plays at.
Cubs also have multiple lefties down in the pen, in addition to Aroldis Chapman. Mike Montgomery came in today. We saw Travis Wood today. We saw Carl Edwards Jr. today. Strope. Let's go to Joe Maddon. He's meeting with the media right now. Brought to you by Xfinity.
Right here in front.
Joe, you always tell us you like the barroom banter and all that kind of stuff. A lot of moments on both sides tonight. First, could you talk about the pulling Lester and then the Chapman move again?
Well, I just thought tonight John really wasn't on top of his game. There was a chance to put add-on runs in that particular moment. You had Gonzalez, and then Ruiz had 2 good at-bats against him. Hernandez has already had good at-bats against him. So it was also an opportunity to get Ruiz out of the game, which eventually turned into Grandal. So you got to look at it. You got to look at the whole big picture. So all those things were part of it. If John was on top of his game, I may not have done it, but I didn't think he had his best stuff tonight. So that was part of that decision. The other one was, yeah, I mean, we had no choice. I mean, I did not want to do that again. He strikes out the first 2 guys, and then Adrian has a great at-bat. So what are you going to do about it? You just got to move on. But give Chappie credit for keeping it at 2. Now, there's the argumentative part right there where we did not lose the lead. So if you don't lose the lead right there and you have this chance to come back, which we did, give Chappie a lot of credit right there, because in that moment when you've given up 2 runs to tie the ball game, tendency is maybe the mental letdown, but he did not permit that to happen. So there's all these little subplots going on constantly within that game. And obviously, eventually, Miggy grabs one, and that was pretty special.
And all the way to the left stand.
Joe, were you surprised they intentionally?
No, not at all. That was the right thing to do. Yeah, I was the right thing to do. I just didn't know how they were going to get to it. I knew when the inning began, there was a chance for bases loaded and 2 outs, and Chapman was hitting. Now, had we had the lead yet, Chappie would have won up there, and that would have been no big deal. But under the circumstances, we had to move it along. But I probably would have done the same thing he did.
Straight back in the center, Allison.
Joe,
yes.
Because the other 2 times that Chapman's been brought in before the 9th haven't really worked out so great, would you be hesitant moving forward to do that again?
Nope. Because it didn't work out doesn't mean it was wrong. I'd just rather give him a little bit cleaner look. I mean, bases loaded, nobody out. He strike out 2 guys. I mean, that's pretty awesome. He strikes out Seager and Puig. Give the guy credit. And then a really good hitter gets a base hit up the middle. So, yeah, I mean, it's my fault for putting him in such a tough position, not his fault. He was great. He threw the ball great. Strike throwing, velocity, everything was there. It's just really hard to do that under those circumstances. That's why I was trying to build at least 1 or 2 outs into the inning. Montgomery, good at bat by Tolles. That little softy to the other side. And then the big play was the walk. And then we get a chopper to third. So, there was nothing god-awful that our relievers gave up. There was good hitting on the Dodgers' part, and then all of a sudden you're faced with Seager now. This kid's good. This kid is exceptionally good. Heads up on him in a couple years, too. He's exceptional. So I did not want anybody to face him except Aroldis. That was set up before the inning, by the way.
And over to the left, Ken.
Joe, did you expect them to bring in the lefty from Ontario?
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I mean, Blanton's been their guy, and Contreras was available, and so was Almora. So we had a way to go on that too. So I would think just based on the success of Blanton this year, that was probably it. I didn't know what they were going to do, but we just had to be ready for either thing. Like not different than what we had done in San Francisco.
And all the way to the right.
Yes, sir.
Joe, you had some outstanding plays in the field today.
Correct.
Fowler going to his left, Fowler going to his right, Rizzo, that ground ball by Puig, and then the double play at the end. Are each of those plays that you've come to expect from your guys this season?
So talked about that a lot. I mean, you know, we're talking about all this other stuff. How about our defense tonight? The defense was spectacular. It was unbelievably good, and that's probably the main reason why we won that game. You know, of course, Miggy's grand slam played into it, but we caught the ball tonight. We caught the ball, and there was several balls hit well against John that we did catch also. Give our defense credit, man. They showed up, and that's the part that really normally does show up on a nightly basis is our defense. Love to watch it. It was fabulous. Could I say? I loved it.
And over here to the left.
Yes, sir.
When you had Lester bunting, was that suicide or safety?
I can't tell you that.
Okay, well.
Yeah, okay.
And on the play, obviously, Baez got hung up. So just can you go through that, what you think, how Javier's just played the whole postseason, and just stretching the single into a double in the first?
Well, that was a design play on their part. They were looking for that. That was a design play. And I give Javi credit for what he did. I mean, 1% or less of all major league players would have done what he did. Honestly, he's just that good on the bases. Sometimes he's going to look bad because he's going to make what appears to be a mental mistake, but he had that all plotted out. So they thought we were going to do it. They did something. Javi reacted. I had nothing to do with that. That's purely good baseball instinct by a kid that's a baseball player. And like I said, he's going to do something once in a while that's going to make you like, Javi, you know, call him into the principal's office. But then he does things like that. So you got it. That's what I talk about. You never want to coach instinct or aggressiveness out of a baseball player. It's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Okay, to the right front.
Joe, you spoke before the postseason about responding to adversity in games. You said it sets a team apart when you can react to it the right way. What does this win say about your team? 2 in a row now.
I mean, the game in San Francisco is very similar to that in the latter part of the game. We do play 9 innings hard. We do go for 27 outs. The vibe on the bench was good after we came off the field. Even though they had tied it, we did not really. The big point there is always you never want to relinquish the lead. That's where the momentum really swings the other side. If you tie it, wonderful, obviously, i.e. the game in San Francisco, we tied it in the 9th, but we still didn't, get over the top. They came back and beat us in extra innings. So all those things matter, but I'm really pleased and proud of our guys, how they handle difficult situations.
And to the back center.
Phil.
Joe, in your 2 series this postseason, both game 1s in the balance in the 8th inning, and you guys win. How significant is that?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we hang out. We hang in there. We don't give up. We don't quit. We don't quit. That's what the boys yell all the time. It's something that you have to nurture. Better teams have that. That you have to have that in order to win as many games as we did. Again, I can't be more proud of our group. Everybody contributed once again. Moore didn't play today. Wilson actually caught. Had Rob Z and Grimmer up in the bullpen. That's pretty much what you call a team victory right there.
Okay, Jason.
Joe, the October chess match with the other manager, how would you describe what it's like to be making those decisions in the heat of these moments, how one move can lead to the next 5 moves?
Sure.
And when you go back to your office or you can go back to your room tonight, do you chew those moves over? Think them through again?
Honestly, a lot of that stuff I had thought, pre-planned before the game. So a lot of that stuff was pre-planned. You look for situations, you're looking for the right matchups, but you don't know what he's going to do. That's the other thing. You know what you want to do, but you don't know what he's going to do, and then you have to be able to react. But sometimes you could force movement. Sometimes you can, and if you can, that obviously that's a good thing. But I referenced Mr. Mock before the game. Played the game 3 times before, during, and after. Gene told me that many, many years ago. I will. Tomorrow with my cup of coffee, large Americano, I'll sit there and I'll go over this whole thing again and rehash it. But you have to play it before. You have to play it before it ever occurs. And then, of course, during the game, anything goes. Your plans could get blown up. I mean, right there, I had no intention of having to warm up Grimm and Rob Z in the 9th inning, but we ended up having to do that. They have this ability to go back and forth in the bullpen on and among their players. With they have so many switch hitters in that lineup, it's incredible. So you have to be aware, and then which one of your pitchers are you okay with, the lefty or the righty? On all those things have to be thought of in advance.
Okay, one last quick one.
Hi, Joe.
Yes, sir.
KB just said that was some of the best television you'll ever hope to see.
KB said that?
Yeah, he did. What is it like going through those ebbs and flows, inning to inning, before the game is over?
Those are called growth moments, man. That's, as we continue to move this thing along. Last year was our first year together. This being our second, we hope to do this often in the future too. These are the kind of moments that you could hold on to when things get awful again. Then they're going to get awful, that you could think about, well, we did this, or we kept our composure, or I didn't speed up my thought process. That's the most important thing. Don't speed it up. Don't concede anything. You just keep doing what we've been doing, and eventually it has a chance to come back on the right side. And so again, to me, that's a growth moment entirely. San Francisco is a growth moment. Tonight was, again, I have nothing to do with that. Give our guys credit.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. All right.
Captain Maeda is here.
All right, so a lot there to chew on from Joe Maddon. He said, in relation to the Chapman move to come in again for 6 outs, he said, because it didn't work doesn't mean it was the wrong move. I don't disagree with him. He struck 2 guys out, and an elite hitter, one of the best hitters in the game, Adrian Gonzalez, got a base hit.
He did. I do wonder on Chapman, though, where that slider is. I mean, I know it's part of his arsenal. You look at what happened there. It all felt like slightly predictable, even though with the left-handed hitters there. I think back to his times in San Francisco, and I asked you the question then, where's the slider? And you said he's using it sparingly, but he's not using it enough. I guess for me, that's my take on it. Listen, you throw a lot of fastballs, you throw 102 miles an hour, you're absolutely right. I don't disagree with that. I thought it was a brilliant move. You got him in early. That was what I was hoping. That's why you went out and got Aroldis Chapman a few months ago, to bring him into these games and these situations. In fact, I thought that there's a very good chance that the Cubs don't take the lead in the 9th. He goes back out there again for the 9th. So,
probably.
Yeah, that's what this is all about. This is postseason baseball. This is playoff baseball. That's what guys like Aroldis Chapman do this time of year. I compare him to Mariano Rivera. In my generation, that's what Mariano Rivera would have done. He would have gone out there and given you 7 outs if you needed it, but that's what this time of year is all about, so I expect it.
It was interesting. Joe Girardi said when I think the month of September was starting to roll around, I spoke with him, and he said, we had times where we thought Aroldis fell in love with the slider too much, and we said, you throw 105 miles an hour, just rear back and blow people away. Well, he blew 2 hitters away. Puig blew away, and the pitch that he threw by Gonzalez was at 102.
Right.
You think maybe you just throw the slider just for a different look?
Well, right, and that's kind of what you get to. I mean, I've said this to you many, many times throughout the years, Cappy. I mean, we talk about 102 miles an hour, 105 miles an hour. Yes, it's elite, but big league hitters will adjust, and if you continue to throw the same pitch in the same spot over and over and over again, and you continue to give them looks, even if it's from the on-deck circle, you're going to see some contact. The Giants proved that to us, right? A couple of left-handed hitters got in there, swung and missed a couple times in different spots, and then all of a sudden you see one, ricocheting into the gap. Now, listen, I'm not being over-analytical. It's just I asked you kind of tongue-in-cheek, where's the slider in all this? Because it certainly is part of his arsenal, and he's got the ability to throw it. So keep your eye on it. We'll see where it's at. But right now, it certainly feels that way. He is going to continue to get the ball in those situations because that's the guy that you give the ball to in those situations. If it's a 3-out save, a 4-out save, a 6-out save, he's the guy you want in there.
Joe also talked about the resiliency of this group, is what he said. And they are a resilient bunch.
Absolutely. And they talk about these moments that, late in a game that, who's going to get the job done. I mean, I felt, it was almost like predicting Montero's home run in that situation, and you think he's been sitting there all game long waiting for that opportunity and waiting for that moment to come up there, that you set yourself up for it. When I said to you, he missed that 0-1 slider, he never should have missed it, I thought, Miggy's thinking right now, I'm getting another slider and I won't miss it. And it's like playing into a pitcher's mind, I'm throwing a slider because you missed it.
Right.
And look what ends up happening. He throws that slider one more time, and Miggy Montero changes the course of the game. So it was a lot of fun to watch, certainly very exciting. You're absolutely right, resilient bunch, and you watch the celebration in the dugout.
Joe also said that when he was asked about walking the bases full, he said, I'd have done the same thing. Right move. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, listen, I think we learned a little bit as this series starts to open up a little bit into our eyes, and as we kind of familiarized ourselves with Dave Roberts, first-year manager. If you didn't learn it and you watch that Nat series, he'll do anything. It is a page out of Joe's book, and I think Joe probably has got probably sitting back right now thinking, man, that Dave Roberts, man, he'll do some things out there that we need to be prepared for. He kind of manages like me a little bit, the willingness to take your starter out after 4 innings and the ineffectiveness. It was only 2 nights ago that they roared through their bullpen. He said, I'll do it in game 1 again. Did that. He'll double switch. He'll move guys in. He'll pinch hit anybody at any time. He's going to do everything in his power to give his team a chance to win a baseball game. And I thought Dave Roberts had taken a page out of Joe Maddon's playbook tonight in creating some favorable matchups with the pinch hitters.
All right, we've got to take a timeout. We come back, you'll hear from Javier Baez, you'll hear from David Ross. A whole lot to do, but I also want Holly's take. There was some hard-hit contact with some elite defense off John Lester tonight. I want to get your thoughts on that and the Cubs' struggles offensively. But we'll get into the defense and hear those interviews. That's coming up next on CSN.
Cubs Postgame Live is presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Some things are simply impossible to ignore. The strikingly designed Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid, the SUV that dares to go beyond utility. Lease the 2016 NX Turbo with 0 due at signing for $429 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
The conference call, the ultimate arena for business. Hour after hour of diving deep, touching base, and putting ducks in rows. The only problem with conference calls, eventually they have to end. Unless you have the Comcast Business Voice Edge mobile app. It lets you switch seamlessly from your desk phone to your mobile with no interruptions. I've never felt so alive.
Get the future of phone, and the phones are free. Comcast Business, built for business.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's, bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
All right, we want you to get interactive with our show. Cast your ballot, csnchicago.com/vote. You do not need a special app. Just visit that website. Get interactive with our program. No cost to you. Our question is, besides the obvious, Miguel Montero's grand slam tonight, what is your favorite moment from tonight's game? Zobrist throwing out Gonzalez at home, the Baez bloop hustle RBI double, Baez stealing home, or Dexter Fowler's spectacular diving grab. Again, csnchicago.com/vote. You'll see the results right on your screen. And welcome back to CSN's Postseason Live. All right, Holly, I've got to ask you.
You've talked more than once about
Let's hear from Miguel Montero first. Let's go to him.
Situations like that and coming through. So now that you've done that, how does it feel?
Well, I haven't done it. I mean, I still got a little ways to go. Hopefully, he gets in a bigger stage. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as a kid, you always dream of these situations. And that's what you live for. I mean, it's easy to hit a grand slam in the first inning when nobody's actually screaming at it. You know, this one is a lot more special because, you know, you're in front of this special crowd that we have. And, you know, you always look for that. You always look for, you know, you want to see how it feels. And you always keep searching for it. See if it's going to feel better the next time. And it's a great sensation. And you keep searching for it. And I'm going to keep searching to see if it gets even better.
And to the center, to the left.
Miguel, I think...
We got Lester here, guys.
Well, I'm happy with this right now, I promise you. Everybody
has a pretty good idea of what Joe Blanton does. Do you dare look slider with
No.
2 strikes?
No. I don't think I have pretty good success the last maybe 6, 7 at-bats. It's been a little, I don't know, like I couldn't really figure it out the last couple of bats. And today, obviously, after the first pitch, I'm looking something middle in, and he threw me that slider. It was a really good pitch to hit, and I missed it. And I was, in my mind was like, oh, my God, I missed. That was a perfect pitch to hit. But, you have to step off the box and just put yourself together and all I was trying to do is just get a base hit. Don't strike out right here. Get a good pitch and try to put the ball in play and make something happen. And but to be honest, in the back of my head, I was like, I want the slider back because it was such a good pitch to hit. And I guess he hurt me because he threw it back. And luckily I hit the ball pretty good.
And over here to the center.
John, what was the discussion like with Joe when he pulled you back for Jorge, and then maybe the range of emotion, seeing the Dodgers come back and then your guys take the lead again?
Oh, I mean, when you're on deck, you don't really have a chance to have a discussion, It is what it is. I don't get paid to make decisions. I get paid to pitch, so that's his decision to make. And, obviously we got a lot of guys on that bench that can swing the bat, a lot better than I can, obviously. So, it is what it is. Would I have liked to go out for the 7th? Absolutely. But, you got to understand the situation and put yourself kind of what the manager's trying to do. And, as far as late in the game, they had some good at-bats against our relievers. We have some really tough relievers down there, and they put together some good at-bats and got some hits and got some guys on base. And, obviously anytime you have Chapman in the game, you feel good about it. Adrian's been doing this a long time and stays on that ball back up the middle. But obviously this guy and Dex, the next inning we come right back out and put up, 5, 6, whatever it was. So, kind of erases all that stuff. And, it's just good to get the W. We move on, and we got Kirsch tomorrow, and we know how tough that's going to be. So hopefully have the same at-bats and take the same mindset going into game 2.
And over to the right.
John, there were some pretty good plays behind you in the field today. Dexter going to his left, Dexter going to his right, that ground ball by Puig, the Rizzo snared. Do you, at this point, expect those guys to make those plays? And have you been able to pitch differently this year because of the fielders behind you?
I don't want to say I don't expect those plays to be made, but, I mean, when Dex makes those 2 diving plays in the outfield, I mean, obviously those are huge momentum changes for us. The one was kind of a fall-on-line drive to his left, going into right center. I think that the wind actually helped me there, helped keep that ball up a little bit. And then the one that Ruiz hit was a bad pitch that he squared up and hit that really well. I didn't expect that ball to be caught at all, and Dex came out of nowhere. He's playing in the right center gap and runs to left center, makes a great play. There was a lot of great plays, a lot of balls hit right at guys tonight, which is very fortunate for me. Riz makes a great play with Puig. We're kind of playing him off the line, and usually as a pitcher, you see a ball hit in that hole, you don't run over immediately because you don't expect a guy to be there. But for whatever reason, I got a good first step off that one and was able to get over there. So our defense has been great all year. I don't think you pitch any different. I think you still attack and make guys put the ball in play because, I mean, really the law of averages for us as pitchers is, even as a good hitter, is still, you're failing 7 out of 10 times. So that's with a good hitter. So I like our chances and, make good quality pitches and see what happens.
And straight back to the center field.
Miguel, as that 8th inning played out and you had a good idea that you were going to be used to hit for the pitcher's spot, how much were you looking to see if they stuck with the right-handed pitcher instead of going to a left-hander?
Honestly, I was ready to hit, but I never thought they were going to leave the right-handed up. And I don't think Joe either. I don't think Joe was expecting that to happen either. But, I kind of looked in a couple of times and I didn't see the manager come out. I'm like, yeah, awesome, because I was ready to hit. But it's just, we just don't, like last time, we don't make decisions. We just get paid to play it, and they put me in. And I'm like, I was more than happy to get that at bat with bases loaded. I mean, obviously, feel better when you get a good results. You would probably be feeling really bad if you don't, but you're still always looking for those type of bats. You know, you don't want to come up and lead off. And luckily, you know, like I was the winner today. You know, tomorrow can be the same situation. It doesn't work out, but you know, you always get your mindset for it.
Just along those same lines, Miguel. Just along those same lines, when did you start getting loose? Like right when the inning started, did Joe come over and say something to you, or did you just see the pitcher spot was going to come up later and figured you'd be?
Well, to be honest, I started getting loose about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then,
you are old.
And then I got in the hop top probably 17 times. No, I got ready normally like my regular routine. I start swinging the bat in the cage. Henry Blanco throws to us like in the 4th inning, so we probably take about 50, 60 swings since the 4th inning until the 6th, and then you're pretty loose by then. And then if the time comes, you know, such a situation is going to come up, you go and probably take another 5, 10 swings, and that's about it. So that's what I did in the beginning, actually, the bottom of the 8th inning, I came in, I took probably about 6, 7 swings, and then I walked out. I put all the whole things together, and I was just down on the bench waiting for the call, you know, and you know, like I say, you know, I thought they were going to bring the lefty, and they didn't, and I got pinch hit, but I was ready. Either way.
And to the left and middle, Tim.
Hey, John, the Dodgers don't bunt very often. And you had a bunch of guys squared early. They don't run very often. You had a bunch of guys danced around near their base. Is this just routine for you? Does it enter your consciousness at all, that the chaos they're attempting to create? Does it bother you at all?
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, I haven't run from anything. You know, I've been honest with everybody about it. So it is what it is. It's hard to bunt. You know, it's hard to bunt. They squared around a lot. Bunted through a couple balls. You know, Peterson bunts a ball directly back to Chris Bryant, which I'm like, thank you. You know, I'd rather him try to bunt than swing, you know. So, you know, we got Adrian Gonzalez up there trying to bunt. You got all these other guys. So it is what it is. We have really good defense. And you know what? I mean, if they bunt it, then I'd rather those guys bunt it than try to hit it over the fence, especially tonight with the wind blowing out. So whereas, you know, like you got an Ethier ball where, you know, it sounded terrible off the bat, but he got it up there high enough where it, you know, it's a homer. It doesn't matter how good or bad he hit it, it's a homer. So I'd rather those guys try to bunt than do that.
And straight back, Phil.
John, I wasn't going to ask about that, but on that subject, right before Maeda's hit, you stepped off the mound and kind of walked towards second and got Gonzalez to cut down his lead. Do you think that played any role in him getting thrown out at the plate? And what I was going to ask, second time you pitched a game 1 that was in the balance late in the game and you guys win both of them, how significant do you think the win is?
I mean, the first part, I mean, I know Adrian pretty well. I know he won't take offense to this, but he's really slow. I mean, he really is. He's not the fastest guy in the world. So, you know, I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to mess with me and trying to get me off my game. You know, 2 outs, we're not even really holding anybody on. I mean, our second baseman and shortstop are playing shortstop and second base. So it's not even really anything. I just saw him kind of dancing off, and I just wanted to regroup myself more than anything. You know, a couple guys on there just trying to regroup in the whole situation. So Zoe made a great throw, one hot throw to Rossi, and Rossi caught. You know, obviously it's always hard for a catcher when the ball bounces. You know, you have to ask the catcher, but I always feel like when the ball bounces, it's hard for those guys to stay on that ball with that glove. Zoe made a great throw, one hop, we get the guy out. So that's, you know, awesome. You know, as far as the game 1, I mean, it's a long series. But anytime you're able to win game 1, that's obviously a huge boost for us in the clubhouse. So that's huge. But at the same time, you know, they got Kirsch going tomorrow. Like I said, it's going to be a tough task for us, whether he's on normal rest or short rest or long rest, whatever it is. We still have to grind out these next few games when we go out to LA, which we know those guys play tough out there. So it's obviously nice to get off to a good start, like I said. But at the end all, you know, like I said, it's a 7-game series. We got a long ways to go.
And last one over here to the left.
John, you had the best seat in the house for Baez coming home. What are you thinking in that moment when you try to lay the bunt down and then he steals home in front of you?
I thought I screwed up. Saw the sign one way, and the ball wasn't even close to being a strike, and I pulled the bat back, and all of a sudden he's sliding it home, and I'm looking at him like, hey man, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I messed up. I'm like, okay, well, at least I didn't mess up. That as a pitcher, when you're looking at signs, you want that's the main thing you don't want to do is screw up the signs, because we got one job is just not screw anything up. And that's really what it is when it comes to hitting, or at least the way I feel. But he's so athletic. I mean, you guys have seen what this guy's done these last 2 series, if not the whole year. To do what he did right there, I mean, he's probably, 8 steps off a third, 10 steps off a third, and he beats a throw, and we score a run on a mistake. So this guy has been unbelievable for us all year. He's unbelievable defense, but I think the thing that gets kind of overlooked is how he's able to run the bases. It looks a little reckless sometimes, but I mean, you'd have to ask him. I feel like he knows what he's doing. I mean, that's the way it looks like from the dugout. But really, in that situation, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss a sign somewhere and get a suicide squeeze as opposed to a safety squeeze.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
All right, now time for our Ameristar Casino Resort pitching recap. John Lester against Kenta Maeda tonight. And John was good. Maeda was just okay. Wasn't awful. Wasn't great. John was good, but he gave up a lot of hard contact.
Yeah, there was definitely some hard contact there. But John, again, you look at the length and you look at the bottom line. Is this a classic example of us setting the bar too high for him? When you look at 6 solid innings, giving your team a chance to win, where he was in this ball game, knowing that he could have gone back out there for a 7th. I mean, as I told you, in between the homer, the Ethier homer, there were outs. Ultimately that's the goal. I mean, that's what he's working to. Whether we're talking defensive positioning or not, there was 3 hard hit balls. Dexter Fowler made 2 incredible grabs, but the balls on the infield were right at infielders. Part of what I believe was going on was there were some complications with the strike zone tonight. When it comes down to it, the borderline pitch didn't go to either guy's way, and this is where home plate umpire forced them to throw strikes. He would give them the corners, but it was a ball on the corner, not a ball just barely on the corner, meaning like giving the seams off the plate. So he was really forcing them out over the plate. And I think John, at times made some pitches in some spots that caught a little bit more plate than he typically does. The one ball he elevated to Ethier was hit for the home run. Yeah, and there were some hard hit balls. There was some great defense behind him, but I mean, we've said that of everybody this year. So I thought John was actually in a pretty good spot. I mean, we can make the case that, there was more hard action off the bat than typically for John Lester. But the bottom line for me was results. And as far as tonight's ball game is concerned, he got those results.
I just saw John Lester and Miguel Montero. Miggy's being trailed by a slew of Chicago media as he is tonight's hero.
Sure.
But let's talk about Kenta Maeda. Maeda was not great. His last couple starts prior to this were not great. I didn't think he had really electric stuff.
He did not. Even when you look at the damage, the 4 innings, the 3 earned runs, the 3 walks, I think we believe, and I thought there was going to be more. And not that when you say, all right, well, wait a minute now, 3 earned runs in 4 innings, that's pretty good output, and maybe there's the opportunity to do a little bit more. I just felt like, the way Maeda had been throwing the baseball, that we would have done a little bit more against him. And I guess that's the best way to say it. When you look at it, the bottom line is 3 earned runs in 4 innings is pretty good for a team. And, you left with the lead when John Lester was still in the ball game. But it just felt like there could have been more damage done, especially with the wind blowing out tonight. Worked that slider, made it an effective pitch for him. You're going to see Maeda again. So let's see if you process what you saw tonight, and the next time you see him, you come out offensively and get a little bit more going as a group.
Do you feel like what happened in the 8th inning, and I know it was kind of piling on there. Dexter hit the home run. Chris doubled off the vines, but you got the grand slam before that from Javi. That can carry over to tomorrow, or there is no carryover effect?
Clayton Kershaw.
I'm not saying you're going to knock him around the park.
Well, I mean,
maybe the bats get going.
It is a classic.
Does it ever get contagious?
Well, it does. I mean, but this is the way this team plays. But it's not something that shows itself every inning. So if you say, okay, well, what we did there in the 8th inning, should that happen in the 1st inning? The following day. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that some people tell you momentum is defined as tomorrow's starter. Other people will say that you can't
that
create
hitting becomes contagious.
Right. I mean, it's just a question of matchups. I mean, I think both people are right when you say that. And honestly, I'm split down the middle when it comes down to it. I've seen teams that you get hot as a group and you play well, but as long as the guy that's out there on the mound actually matches up well with us, we'll stay hot. When you change that variable, sometimes it changes, and when you throw a Clayton Kershaw into the mix,
changes a lot.
It can change momentum. So I'm not going to foolishly say that, oh yeah, I expect to see it right away tomorrow.
It'd be nice to see. All right, we've got to take a time out here. We are live at Wrigley. A lot more to do. You are watching Postseason Live on CSN.
Sure you're fine with getting rid of the trophy case?
Yep.
And the carpet?
Mm-hmm.
And that?
Yes. Cover it up quickly with Dutch Boy Platinum Paint Plus Primer. With Platinum's no prep, no prime formula with advanced extreme high technology, Menards and Dutch Boy make transforming your world easy.
Good color, honey.
Go Dutch.
You know the feeling. The rush of every roll, every flip, sip, bite, note, and night. You know the feeling. Get it at Ameristar.
Huh? Dirty old furnace. Call Four Seasons.
Dirty furnace? Clean it up with a Four Seasons furnace tune-up. Lower utility bills, increase furnace lifespan, and guarantee a breakdown-free season for only $89.95.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
At Bob Rohrman Lexus of Harlington, the world's largest Lexus dealership, where bigger is really better. I personally invite you to come experience the Arlington Advantage. Over 600 Lexus vehicles available, and our customer service is second to none.
Right now, get 0.9% for 72 months on all 2016 Lexus models.
The all-new Bob Rohrman Lexus of Arlington on the corner of Route 53 and Dundee Road.
Cubs fans, show your team pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card available only at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. All right, time for our UPS store taking care of business player of the game, and we're going to give it to Javier Baez. Couple of doubles tonight, steals home. Look, Miggy had a huge hit, but this guy was, again, a big factor.
It's a game changer. That's what he's turning into, and I think really what you're starting to realize that he plays in a different, I'm not going to dare say different league, but he plays on a different level, and you can see it when he plays. When you see that steal of third base, that's anticipation. That is burning big league ball players defensively. I mean, you know, almost baiting them to throw down. You saw how he, accelerated down the line, slammed on the brakes to kind of get Ruiz, because as soon as he took off, he was anticipating that throw and put himself in position to steal a run right there, and he did it. Again, he is a unique talent, Cap, and I'm telling you, as we watch his game come around, really what I'm talking about is offensively. I mean, we're going to be talking about this kid going to all-star games. We're going to be talking about this kid being a superstar at this game. And as long as he continues to improve in some of the basic stuff, when we get to see his athleticism, wow, it's on another level.
All right, let's go into the Cubs clubhouse. Let's hear from Javi.
It was a safety squeeze. I went too a little bit too early, and he missed the bunt. But I saw him. He was ready to throw the ball, so I didn't want to get a run down, and I just kept going home. And it was a kind of a bad throw to third, so he had to kind of take his time to save his feet.
What did Joe say to you?
Nothing. I'm pretty sure he's not surprised.
Javi, can you take us into the clubhouse, what it's like when that ball goes over the wall and it just erupts?
I thought that the roof was coming down from the fans jumping, man. I don't think nobody saw Dexter Fowler and Homer, because they were still jumping.
Now, you guys are up 1-0 facing Kershaw in game 2. How high is your confidence after this win?
Well, we're facing Kerchak. You know, everybody knows he's one of the best pitchers in MLB, and you know, I think the same team. I mean, you just gotta make him throw the ball to the plate. We know he's been throwing a couple of days. I think he's pitching with a few days of rest. So hopefully we get to him.
When you're running home, I saw you like kind of cover your head a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to let the ball hit me, so I wouldn't be out. But you know, the throw it was way inside.
You saw that tiny ball to kind of get in.
Yeah. I saw him reach for the ball, and I just went feet first and got there.
Javi, you said on Miggy's home run you were watching your video?
Yeah, I was watching the video of my B.
Right.
And
where were you watching? Back here?
No, in the old video room. It's really close to the dugout.
So then what'd you do?
I jumped. I think I bust like 3 shares.
And did you run back into the dugout?
Yeah.
That's when everyone was going nuts.
So and then Dexter homer.
After they tied it, you guys didn't get down in the dugout or anything?
No. I mean, we never give up. I mean, you guys saw it in San Fran. We were down 3 or 2, and we came back and won the game.
Were you surprised they would potentially walk Hayward to get to you?
Well, they want to pitch to a righty, not the lefty with the right-handed pitcher. But you know, I knew he was throwing a lot of sliders, and I just didn't wait from a pitch. I think he threw a good pitch. It was a good swing, but the ball wasn't on the sun, so.
That's been all over me today. All right, time for our Wrigleyville Sports winning box score, and this one belongs to the Cubs. Take us through some of the numbers there, buddy.
Well, I mean, I've got my box score here. I haven't really totaled most of it. But again, let's talk about the impact that Dexter Fowler had at the top of the lineup. I said before the game, in the pregame show, getting on base twice. That's kind of that theme. When he's out there doing some things, he obviously starts the ball game off with a base hit. It turns into a run. Chris Bryant drives him in. That's what we're talking about. There was some fluid at bats where things started to kind of really take shape. Dexter Fowler was the one guy that we mentioned. Yeah, now we need to see Anthony Rizzo kind of get going as well. I'd love to see it. But that's what it becomes. You know, one guy picks it up, and the next guy feeds off, and then the next guy. And that's really what it came down to tonight. The Dodgers, they battled. They had a good night at the plate. They put together some at-bats. I think expectations were a little bit lower. But when you look at the grand total, the scheme of things, we had a big inning. It came late in the ball game. Who cares when it comes? If I told you,
get it done.
Well, if I told you 8-4, I think I would have said to you that we scored 7 runs in the first 2 or 3 innings because I would have told you I thought we would have done more against Maeda. Now, it didn't go that way, but the bottom line is you did pile up some runs. You got a big grand slam from one of your guys, and carrying 3 catches is a good thing, as I told you.
All right, let's hear in the Cubs clubhouse from Dexter Fowler.
Well, Zoe got it started. Zoe got it started with a big hit, and then, you know, we went from there. So, but Mickey came in and you know, got a good pitch and crushed it. And, you know, his back had been hurting, so he came in and, you know, you don't know what to expect, but he did. So he put the ball in the stands, and that's awesome.
What are you prouder of, your home run or the way you were able to make those catches in center?
I take pride in my defense. So I think probably those, you know, because that helps the team more, I guess. So, you know, doing that and making those type of plays is eliminating out. So.
It's rare to see you leave your feet. I did it twice now.
Yeah, the ball stayed up there. I had to stretch. You know, I told them I was running. You know, I was running my belt off. But no, we got the belt fixed and we're good back. We're back.
What was that like on Dexter? Just watch that.
It was unbelievable. I actually dropped my bat when he swung because it kind of slowed down. I feel like I hope it was as big as it to me. I mean, for him as it was for me. So.
Have you guys come to expect the unexpected? It just seems to happen over and over again with this team.
Yeah, it's awesome. You never know who's gonna do it. So, you know, but everybody leans on each other. We pass the baton, and that's what winning baseball is.
But you have 3 heart attack games in a row, one after another after another.
That's fine. We knew it was going to be like this, but at the end of the day, we came out on top, so it makes it that much better.
No rest tomorrow because you get Kershaw, but at least you have one in your pocket.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, we still got to go out and battle. That's a good team over there. Obviously, they're never gonna quit either. So, you know, we got to make the plays and play our game and hopefully we'll be out on top.
Were you guys collectively happy for Mickey because the injury issues he's had with his back and be able to come up with a big at bat like that?
For sure, you're happy for a guy like that, especially the situation he came in and he stepped up like that. You know, the hat's off to him. It's unbelievable at bat, and then you know, we're happy to have him over here.
You came back specifically for this. What's this like to go through this run with all of that?
Well, it's my first NLCS win over here. So we came back to finish what we had started last year. Obviously, it ended too quickly, but you know, we got another shot and hopefully take advantage of it.
All right, again, we'd like you to get interactive with our show. Cast your ballot. No cost, no special app. Go to csnchicago.com/vote. Again, no special app. Here's your question. Besides Montero's grand slam, what's your favorite moment from tonight's Game 1 win? Zobrist throwing out Adrian Gonzalez at home. Javi Baez bloop hustle RBI double. Javi Baez stealing home. Or Dexter Fowler with a diving grab. Your thoughts, csnchicago.com/vote. Be right back.
Our mountains challenge us, push us back, knock us down, tell us it can't be done. But then, one day you reach the summit, and you realize the harder the climb, the better the reward. Coors Light, whatever your mountain, climb on.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's, bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat?
1 in 5 children struggles with hunger in America. Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Mike Anderson Chevrolet in Chicago brings you an all-star lineup for 2016.
Let's start at the top of the roster with the redesigned Chevy Malibu.
Our team favorite is the Chevy Silverado. Pack away all your gear in this full-size pickup truck.
This month, save up to 33% on select 2016 Chevys in stock, like this brand new 2016 Spark LT. Was $18,560, now only $12,968.
Visit Mike Anderson Chevrolet in Chicago, 1 mile west of the Kennedy on beautiful Irving Park Road.
Mike Anderson Chevrolet, the Chevy Giant.
See you soon.
All right, time for our Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing. Who's hot and who's not in the ALCS? How about reliever Andrew Miller? 3 2/3 innings pitched, 1 hit, no walks, and 10 strikeouts. Who's not? Toronto's Troy Tulowitzki. Talk about struggle city, brutal. 1 for 8, no RBIs, and a strikeout. All right, our clear choice dental implant center play of the game. Only one way you can go with this one. Miguel Montero.
Sure about
Almost
that.
said Javi Baez. Miguel Montero with a grand slam to win it for the Cubs.
Well, it was good to see. A lot of fun in that moment. Certainly kind of as it built. We had the bases loaded. This place was rocking. I mean, goodness gracious, it was deafening. Montero up there gets down in the count, gets that slider, and turns it back around. Great swing right there. So happy for Miggy, in that position. As a pinch hitter, Cappy, I did this an awful lot at the end of my career. Not easy to do, to step into those moments when you know that the game is on the line, that you haven't been, taking it at bat, all day long. You step in there and you swing through one to get a little loose, and you're just kind of hoping and grinding and fighting to get another mistake, and ultimately he did, and he made him pay the second time.
All right, let's go back into the locker room, and let's hear from Dave Roberts, who's actually at the Dodger podium.
Can you walk us through the thought process in the 8th, especially walking Coghlan and then also staying with Blanton against the lefty?
Oh, yeah. No, it was, it's just one of those things where obviously in that situation you got to walk Hayward. with the open base, and he gets Baez to fly out, and then right there, obviously I'm looking at the card, and I see Chapman still in the game, and where we're at on our side coming up, hitters coming up. Didn't love the matchups, where it's harder to love the matchups against Chapman anyway, but we had some left-handers coming up. So for me, Coghlan is our first left-handed bat off the bench. I know Joe's going to throw strikes, and so to then walk Coghlan to then bring up Montero. If I go to a left-hander, they bring in Contreras. So right there, there's really no, matchup advantage. It's more of, I trust Joe. I've trusted him all year long. He's been great for us. And he got ahead 0-2 and left a pitch up. So, again, it's at that point in time, they got to bring in Rondon. And so I felt good for us to win the game if we could get out of that inning. And it just didn't work out, but it was our guys fought. It was a well-played game.
Next question for Dave, over here to the far right.
Adrian Gonzalez's big hit off of Chapman. What's going through your mind in that inning, and just seeing Adrian get that big hit in a spot where you needed it?
Adrian's been, throughout his career, he's gotten so many big hits. And, when it gets hot and stressful, he just finds a way to just calm down and take a good swing. And obviously, you got a guy throwing 100 miles an hour left on left. There's no panic. And he just took a nice swing. And big hit. And right there, yeah, I thought we were going to win the game.
Another one for Dave. Straight back over here. To the right. Straight back, yep.
Dave, what you see with Maeda today?
You know what? I thought Maeda was good. There was a couple balls that found the outfield grass, but I thought he competed well. I thought he gave us everything he had and gave us a chance to win. And right there, third time through, I felt good going to Baez. But again, Kent was a victim of a little bit of bad luck. And that's the beautiful thing about this game. You can square balls up and get nothing to show for it, which I felt we did tonight a lot. And, you can hit some flares that find outfield grass. So Kent to pitch well.
And over here to the left, Jason.
Jason. This is your first postseason as a manager. Obviously, there are a lot of decisions. When you make decisions like you made tonight, and you know in your heart in the moment that they're the right decision, but they turn out like that, when you put your head in the pillow, do you second guess yourself at all?
No, I think that's the thing, is that as long as, you think through things and put guys in the best position to have success in your team, a chance to win, you can do the right things, but they can't always work out. But I think the process for me, I felt really good about it, and I do the same thing over again. And, 10 times out of 10, I'd take Joe Blanton against, Montero, and he took a good swing on an 0-2 pitch, and it's going to happen. That's baseball.
All right, that's baseball, as Dave Roberts just said, and Holly said that a little earlier. We heard that from John Lester and Joe Maddon. That's everybody's common theme. I had two other points I wanted to get in with you before we get out of here tonight. Javi Baez stole home. First time the Cubs have had a steal of home in a postseason game since Game 4 of the 1907 World Series.
What did it look like?
I wasn't there. When he slid into the plate, John Lester said, I went over to him and said, did I make a mistake? And Javi said, no, I made the mistake. And Lester said, good, I didn't want to think I missed a sign. Take us through what happened there.
Well, Javi's coming in. Obviously, it was, understanding, at least I know what it looked like after the fact. I'm going to go ahead and make the assumption that it was what he interpreted to be a safety squeeze. So he commits himself. And it's an aggressive read as you come down the third base line, and it's as simple as that. You come down as hard as you can, but again, there's an element of caution. It's not just free and clear to the point where you would check out mentally. You take off from third base on a squeeze play. You're running to score. You're not worried about where the ball goes. You're not worried about the hitter. You're worried about yourself, and you're worried about getting to home. In this situation, you're coming down more cautiously. Now, you are looking to be aggressive, and you're looking to shorten the distance between where you are and obviously home plate, but there's an element of caution, and that's really what it comes down to. If your hand is burned and you've overplayed it, you've come too far, and that's just it. When you do a safety squeeze, there's still that safety net of getting back to third base somewhat, securely. He kind of overplayed his hand, and he realized that because he aggressively came down too far and nothing was going on at home plate. Chuch Ruiz pops out of his stance, realizes I've got Javier Baez dead to rights down there at third base, thinks all I need to do is make a firm throw to third as he gave me a head fake back to third base, fires down to third. Just at that moment, he played his hand, Javi did, and said, you know what, as soon as I'm going to give you the head fake, I'm going to go the other way. If Chuch would have held on to the ball, Carlos Ruiz, Javi would have run right into him at home plate, having never thrown the baseball. But he threw the baseball, and it wasn't a good throw. Turner has to field it off the third base bag towards the dugout side and has to throw a kind of slingshot back into home. Javi slides in safe.
Yeah, and he threw it a little bit high. The other play I wanted to talk to you about, Gonzalez gets gunned down on a good throw by Ben Zobrist. It wasn't like he threw it from the wall. It wasn't Roberto Clemente. It was still a really solid throw. What did you think of the decision to test his arm?
I thought it was a bad decision. That's not result-based. On the Dodgers part, right. Because, I mean, again, you've got Howie Kendricks, one of your right. I mean, you're back to the top of the line. You got to remember, Maeda's the one who came through with the hit right there. I certainly understand it, but as a third base coach, you've got to read the pursuit of your left fielder. This isn't, Ben Zobrist doesn't have a left fielder's arm by trade. He's got a good arm, but it's not an outfielder's arm. He's also an infielder. You've got to consider all these things. But the way that the ball was hit and where he was positioned, because you're playing more shallow, because the pitcher's hitting, if you go back and look at it, he's in shallow left field. I mean, this is almost deep shortstop. He makes a strong one-hop throw into the plate, and you get Adrian Gonzalez by a country mile. And that's it. He's not a, I mean, you've also got to consider he's a slow runner. So from my perspective, the Dodger perspective, if you're trying to score a run right there, I don't know why you would have ever sent him right there, because that's not a smart send. Credit Ben Zobrist for making the play. Sometimes as a third base coach, you roll the dice. You roll the dice that something goes wrong. It's not that you don't know your guy's going to get burned or blown up if they make the play. It's the reality that you're hoping the ball comes out of David Ross's glove or it skips on some wet grass and something different happens. I think that's actually what he was looking to do right there, or try to steal a run. Because all in all, it's not a very smart play, even though the Dodgers don't have any kind of good history against John Lester.
All right, we've got to take another timeout. We are here on our post-game show. We call it Postseason Live. You're watching CSN.
Is there such thing as a free lunch? Yes, as well as breakfast for our Fields customers at any of our locations with a cafe. Hello, I'm Dan Fields. There's also free loaners and free car washes. You see, a Fields customer not only gets our lowest price, they also get all of our amenities at no additional cost. There is one thing you don't receive: pressure. We simply treat people the way we want to be treated. It's a commitment to our customers we made long ago. Fields matters because you matter.
Welcome to the Apt Showroom, one of the top appliance retailers in the U.S. Explore our full line of Thermador appliances that will inspire and empower you to imagine design and bring to life your dream kitchen. Our team of product experts will work with you, your builder, and designer from the very first sketch to the very last detail. Discover how Thermador is personalized to the way you cook and bring the ingredients of entertaining to life. Visit us at Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
Four Seasons, how can we help you?
It's the furnace! The old pile of scraps burning through my savings! Hurry!
Remain calm, we're on our way.
24-hour repair and same-day installation. Four Seasons can replace your furnace for as little as $17.95. Furnace and AC combos from $36.95. And take advantage of 0% interest financing for 5 years.
For all the right reasons, call it 664 Seasons.
All right, time for our Keys recap. Holly, Tom, take it away. Brought to you by great people at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois.
Yeah, well done. Thank you for setting me up there. Contrast and expand. This is what we were looking for John Lester to do to the strike zone. I thought he did a fine job with this. I know there were some hard-hit balls there, but I mean, goodness gracious, people, are we sitting here going to honestly complain about the effort that he gave tonight? The bottom line is results. I've told you time and time again, all of us, listen, we cannot overanalyze. There's going to be hard-hit balls in a game. You're never going to be perfect. This is the game of baseball. At this stage of the season, I said it in the pregame show, this is as much a team game as any example I'll ever give you. There's more elements of individuality earlier in the season, in the regular season, than there is right now. So the bottom line is results. John Lester got those results, so let's be satisfied with that, and he's going to be big in this series against those lefties over there with the Dodgers. Be aggressive on offense. Thought we saw it early. I'm with you, Cap. I thought we maybe could have done a little bit more with Maeda. That's the one part of this game that I thought there should have been a little more, and it kind of conflicted on this one because 3 earned runs in 4 innings. It's not a bad outing, and certainly it's good, but just felt like there was some holes there, and maybe we could have had a little bit more done early in the ball game. I wanted to see that. Set the tone, bottom line. You got the win, and you did. I said it like this. If the Cubs win this game, it's expected. If the Dodgers win this game,
it's shocking.
It's shocking, and that's what you didn't want to have happen in Game 1. And I'll tell you, we made it interesting, but you get it done, you get a big Montero home run, and you move on to Game 2.
All right, again, we have a poll question up that we would like your answer to. Holly, I want to get your answer. Again, go to csnchicago.com/vote. Final moments that you get to vote on this. What was the biggest play of the game other than Miggy Montero's game-winning grand slam home run? Right now, the leader looks to be the Javi Baez steal. Is that where you're going?
I think that's where I would go. I mean, I have an absolute appreciation for Dexter Fowler's efforts out there in center field. I think that certainly kept things in check. We were thinking the same thing, and I said to you, John Lester, there's a few more line drives than we're used to seeing in a ball game. The defense was in great placement tonight. I mean, obviously in the infield, but Dexter Fowler had a great running catch to left center field, a great running catch to right center field, where he got great breaks and good routes and was able to come up with those and keep everything, at a minimum. Those plays can't be dismissed. They're huge plays. I mean, who knows what happens after them if they turn into doubles. But to answer the question all the way, I'm making this a complicated version, is the Javi Baez play, without a shadow of a doubt. Who isn't amazed by what this young man pulls off on a baseball field right now? And I felt like that is just an example of what we get to see every day, and the Dodgers get a little dose of it.
Yeah, I like the steal of home. I also love the hustle double. All right, let's go back into the Cubs clubhouse. Here is one of the leaders of this team, David Ross.
I thought it was a big cat and mouse right there. I thought Dave was trying to set up the best matchup for his pitcher. And they're running out of guys and maybe trying to get Chappie out of there. I don't know his thought process. And then he's got the lefty up down there with the lefty pinch hitting, but I think he knew we were going to bring, Joe probably would have brought in Willie, and so I mean that's a lot of cat and mouse that inning, and paid off for us.
What were you thinking when Javi stood home?
I was excited. I was really excited. Yeah, Javi may be the most exciting player, or one of, I hadn't seen everybody, but one of the most exciting players in the game right now, and maybe one of the most that I've ever played with. This guy constantly takes the game and elevates his game to the level of what's going on, or to the environment that's going on. This guy is a special player, and it's fun to see what he's going to do night in and night out.
Can you teach that instinct of just going?
Yeah, he's got a crazy instinct. His instincts are above and beyond for such a young guy, and his athleticism allows him to do that. I think my brain may tell me to do that, but I don't think I could actually do it. So a credit to Javi, how much he's matured and stays true to himself. And most guys would be timid to do that, and you got to have good instincts. You got to have some cojones to pull that off.
David Ross, you are so correct. We've got to take a timeout. We'll come back. One more segment to do right here on CSN.
Combining home and auto can save you big. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Did you know your business doesn't have to suffer from slow internet? Comcast Business now offers blazing fast internet speeds up to 250 megabits per second, over 6 times faster than DSL. Get internet for as low as $59.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business. Did you know sharing Wi-Fi with your customers could leave your business exposed? Only Comcast Business offers Wi-Fi Pro, 2 separate networks, one that's private for you and one that's public for your customers. Upgrade to Wi-Fi Pro for only $19.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business.
Did you just see that? That was awesome. We have to try it. Okay. Okay, mine's not working. Maybe you have to bump it. Oh, yeah, do the bump it thing. Right. Okay. Yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool.
I think she said BMO Harris app.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank, we're here to help.
Is new car shopping make you lose your mind? Get to Schaumburg Honda Automobiles for great customer service, selection, and savings.
During our sales spectacular, lease a Honda Civic sedan for just $179 a month or a CRV for only $199 a month.
Bob Rohrman's Schaumburg Honda Automobiles, just 8 blocks west of the Woodfield Mall on Gulf Road in Schaumburg.
Hello?
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Are you serious? Not khakis. What are you wearing?
For fastballs, call me. For saving time and money, call State Farm.
You sound hideous.
All right, final results on our poll question for you. Over 52,000 people voted. Javier Baez stealing home is your winner, again, of the most exciting play other than the Miguel Montero game-winning grand slam.
Yeah, no surprise there. It was an electric play, and honestly, I completely expect to see more of Baez in that form and fashion throughout this series, whether it's a diving catch in the outfield or knocking a ball down and showing us his athletic range and great arm. He is that kind of player, and I think that when you let him loose like this, you really start to watch him blossom. Credit Joe Maddon. We've talked about it. I had thoughts like over the last 2 days of like where Javi was and Jim Hendry and like where his journey through this organization was. You know, in some ways you could almost make the case that, you know, should we be surprised that he's even still here or maybe hasn't been traded by now? And to watch the impact that he's having with this team, I don't see them winning without him. And I mean, that's a huge compliment, and it's really the way that I think, you know, I see this team right now. I don't know where they would be without his athleticism and what he brings to the field every day.
All right, let's look at the matchup for tomorrow's Game 2 of the National League Championship Series. Cubs will trot out their best pitcher by ERA, Kyle Hendricks, and it'll be Clayton Kershaw, the ace, the best in the game for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Certainly curious to see Kyle Hendricks, obviously, after coming out of the last start, taking the ball off the forearm. I think he's fine. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. But the way that the Dodgers have won this year, one of the best lineups, certainly here in the second half, offensively, tons and tons of power. You're going to see the opposite version tomorrow night of what they can bring from the left side of the plate. They've got a tremendous amount of good left-handed hitters. You're going to see Chase Utley get the start. You're going to see all those lefties in there, and Kyle Hendricks is going to have to deal with them. So, again, falling into patterns, don't want to do it. Not that he has this year, but that's the game plan. And then you got Clayton Kershaw on the other side.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit quickly about Kershaw. The guy's elite. He pitched, you know, very well when he was healthy this year, but he missed 2 months with a back problem.
It's true, but you go back to his last appearance, which was as a closer. He got it done. I think he is free and clear of any of that. The thing that's so interesting to me in this series is that, you know, you've got these two teams that know a little bit about each other, but not a lot. Like Clayton Kershaw, I feel like has a bit of an advantage in that, you know, the Cubs haven't seen him lately. So we'll see how this ultimately goes. I'm also curious to see, you know, he's pitching on short rest. He did just pitch, you know, as a closer just a few days ago. We'll see what he's got and how long he goes.
All right. One thing we didn't get, our big blue fists. They're back at the office. Layla has them.
I don't know who's responsible for dropping that, but I guess we'll just have to go bare knuckles.
Cubs have a 1-0 lead in the NLCS. They'll look for a 2-0 lead tomorrow before they jet off to Los Angeles. For Todd Hollandsworth, I'm David Kaplan. We'll see you right back here on the field tomorrow.
Drive into right, back at the wall, it is good!